Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. And today we're going to be taking a look at the leaked trailer for Prey. So if you've been sticking around with us, or if you're on the channel at all, you see that we did a teaser trailer reaction a couple weeks ago. I'd say about 2 weeks ago for Prey itself. Well, the full trailer leaked, and we got to see it. And usually I stay away from leaks. I try to watch them when they're official, but this one just so happened to be pretty high quality, and we decided let's get on this before they inevitably drop it because it got leaked. So yeah, we both got to see it. Luke, what are your thoughts?
I was excited to see it. Obviously, wasn't expecting it until you were like, "Hey, check this out," and I was like, "Well, don't mind if I do."
Hmm.
It still has me excited for this. I think they are still doing everything so well because if you look at it, I mean, you see some of the predator itself, but you don't see a lot. And
Hmm.
I think the scenes that they're using for this are very strategic. Like one of the my favorite scenes is them running through the field, and you can see the predator right behind him, but he has the cloaking device.
I thought that
So
was very cool. Yeah.
it's like you just see the tall grass kind of being mowed down as he's running through it. I think
Hmm.
that is such a clever scenario to put the predator in. I mean, make use of that cloaking device, and I mean, we see him a little bit, but not much. It doesn't give too much away at all. So overall, I think they're really doing a lot of this, the trailer footage, the teases, all this. I think they're doing it really right this time.
Yeah, no, I would agree 100% that that was something I was very happy to see because I think that that was a little something we highlighted in the teaser trailer as far as concerns.
Yep.
Is just like how they're going to treat this material, but it seems like they're heading in the right direction. Now, trailers can be deceptive. We all know this. Marvel, they're under the Disney umbrella as well as Predator now is. So they have a tendency to, they are very outspoken about putting fake stuff in the trailers. I doubt that's the situation here. But, I'm just saying that don't take this as me saying, oh, trailer was good, movie's going to be great. Like it's still, Predator still has a little ways to go for me. But
It's
this
on
is
record now,
definitely cool.
Dylan.
Yes, it is
You're
on
committed.
record. Um, but yeah, I think that this was definitely something that, like you said, the fact that we didn't see the Predator was huge. I like that a lot. I don't want to see the Predator. We get one quick shot of the mask with him or her. We don't know yet. I think it's a male Predator because he looks pretty beefy.
I
But
would assume so, just
mm,
because I believe it's been a minute since I've done a lot of research, but I went down that whole predator rabbit hole ages ago, and I think the females are bigger than the males.
oh,
So
really?
yeah, I
Okay.
believe that's the case. So if that is, I would assume that this is male.
It would be a nice change of pace. I know that's something that a lot of people in the Predator community, I think, have been curious to see would be a female Predator because we've never seen one on the big screen. It's always been games and comics that we've
Yeah,
seen them. So it's one of those things where it would be interesting to see how that shakes out. Um, I know you're gonna get a lot of people who are just like, oh no, it's like they're making the predator female and the female lead and blah blah blah. It's all fucking cancel culture, whatever. Fuck all that. Like I don't care. Like this would be a very cool and unique take in my opinion.
yeah, it'd be a
Um
cool dynamic to see the
mhm.
difference if there is any going into that. Even if it were, a male and a female, let's do like a natural born killers predator
With
style.
predators. There you go. I like that. Couple things, couple of shots I wanted to highlight here. Now I will admit to you guys right now, I do have the trailer. It has been taken down since then, but I believe it actually, from what I heard, it was posted last night, but
Oh,
it's just been constantly getting taken down. I was able to get a copy. Don't tell Disney. So I don't know how much I'm going to show as far as what I'm cutting this later when I'm editing this.
yeah.
But I do want to highlight a couple things that I noticed. Maybe I'll do some screen caps or something. But um, one of those, I do like the idea of the frontiersman. That is something I didn't think we would see, but we get a couple of glimpses of them. I think that's pretty cool. And you see a shot where the predator is going to use one of the tomahawks
Yeah.
on them. I'm like, I literally, I leaned over to my wife watching that because I was supposed to be making dinner at the time, and she's just like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Predator trailer dropped. Hold on a second." And I just look over, I'm watching it, and she's kind of watching it, and I'm just like, "Yeah, he's about to go medieval on their ass." Like seriously, like he does a little flip and everything. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna use this." Very cool to see that. I think that that's gonna be that's nice. One thing, probably one of the biggest things that we highlighted in the teaser trailer review, at least for me, was the plasma cannon.
Yeah.
We get to see a little bit more of that scene. And did you notice that the whatever shot out of that didn't make the sound of a plasma cannon like shooting? It whizzed by and it was
Yeah.
red.
Yeah. And that's what I was curious about because, we had talked about if you're going to do the time period sort of piece, don't make it feel like it's a 1986 Predator dropped into whatever the time period is. He
Mm-hmm.
has to be his devices have to seem a little more archaic and not as well defined as we do see them eventually become. And I mean, some of his devices look a little advanced, but I mean, you can't have it all. So, but I
Mm-hmm.
like that they're kind of taking that time. And from what it looks like, is that we're going to be seeing some weaponry that's a little off kilter than what we have seen, which I'm very interested in seeing. And going back to like the frontiersmen and everything, I'm glad that they are making use of the time period. It's just not like they had the idea of, oh, let's do Predator, but with Native Americans. It's like, no, we're going to make use of the entire time period, at least from the little bit of the trailer we had seen. It does seem like they're actually putting a lot of thought into it and trying to make the best use possible of the time period that they chose.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they're definitely. I would say that this trailer 100% is just all steps in the right direction so far. Um, and it's reassuring. I would say with Shane Black's The Predator trailers, that's when we had talked about it a little bit. You mentioned that when you saw the marketing and everything, that's when it kind of started to worry you a little bit. And it's like I think that at that time I was so optimistic. I hadn't really been beaten in the ground yet. I hadn't been beaten into submission by that and Halloween 2018 and everything. And it was just kind of one of those things where I was just like, this is going to be great. Like it's Shane Black. What could go wrong? And well, I was very wrong. Um, but this doesn't give me any of those warning signs. I think that this is definitely consistent with the idea they want to tell. Um, I know some people that I've watched or heard their opinions on and looked on Twitter. Some people are saying that they're surprised by how this doesn't look like a direct to streaming or a or even like a direct to TV movie,
Yeah.
because it does have a pretty small budget, but it is looking good. It's looking very very like on par with the other Predator movies, very cinematic, and I think a lot of that you mentioned that with the tall grass scene, a lot of that has to go to Dan Trachtenberg here because I think that the man understands how to use a small budget and get the most out of it. You can just watch 10 Cloverfield Lane and understand that, but this definitely feels like he is going to get the most out of every shot. Now they it's a trailer. They could just be showing us all the money shots, but like there's a lot of storytelling with just the camera, no dialogue in this trailer, and I do appreciate that. There's a lot of cool things that we see. I like her with the retractable tomahawk. I thought that was neat too. She ties that to her arm and she's
Yeah.
throwing it back and forth. Like that's pretty cool. That's unique. I know. I guarantee you, there's going to be people bitching online about the little shot we see of her in the mud. They're going to just say, "Oh, they're just ripping that off of the first movie or anything." I guarantee it. That's going to be something you're going to, when this officially drops, you're
Yeah.
going to hear a lot of complaints about that. But that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, like you can call it an homage. It works. So why not? Why does Dutch have to be the first person to have figured that out? You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
predators have been coming to Earth this long, why is he the first to figure that out?
And with that, I fully expect in the original Predator, that was such a beat of a moment to be like, oh wait, he doesn't see him. It's such a big deal. This one, since the audience knows that, I don't even think they're gonna treat it as a big deal, like, as in a beat in the film where it's gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, we already know this," and we're gonna pass right by it because it's not gonna
Mhm.
be that aha moment that we had in the '86 version.
Mhm.
So I'm not even bothered by it because it's like making use of what your audience already knows.
Mhm.
And, if we kind of keep going back to it, I would be annoyed, but I feel like it's just going to be that moment in time to be like, oh, yeah, well, we'll give you a little nod here. And that's going to be the end of it. So I'm not going to be
Mhm.
bothered by it. But yeah, like you said, I think there are going to be people that are going to really nitpick at that when it's not even that big of a deal at all. It's just like a fun little nod to the original. So it's like I'm
Mhm.
totally fine with it. I think it would just be such a nitpick if you decide to plant your flag there.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it is just one of those things where it's like there's so much that's changing with this whole concept of prey and everything. Even the title itself is different. So it's
Yep.
like there's so much that's changed. It's like I can forgive nods and references. Now, somebody I want to a shout out to a couple weeks ago. I think it was over Memorial Day weekend. I was watching his video on the Prey trailer, Decker Shadow. I'm
Mhm.
not sure if you follow him or not, Luke, but he's somebody that I've been following for a long time. He's a big Predator guy. But the thing about him is that he mentioned that stuff that he had seen, and this I thought was kind of interesting. It didn't cross my mind when we were talking about the teaser trailer. Is this going to be a lead into Predator 2 with the old pistol?
Oh, I think I had seen someone mention that at one point. I mean, if it is cool, I don't need it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, it's not gonna be like, y- you
holy shit
know,
moment.
yeah, I almost feel like it would be almost take away a little bit to be like, we don't need it to tie in. Just let it be its own story." It,
Mhm.
but again, it would just be such a small little thing. So maybe it is that elder predator that they're gonna go with. I don't know. But and I think that's kind of one of the things where if they went that route, and I'm assuming like if that elder predator that we see in Predator 2 is going to in fact be this predator, which is just hypothetical. We're just kind of spitballing here, but um, I don't know how that would go. We've talked about it, and I want to see predators at different points in their life, not necessarily.
Mhm.
I know they go through the rituals and stuff like that, and to be blooded and stuff, but um, it doesn't always have to be the case to come to Earth. Um, so it's like I would love to see a different predator in a different walk of life. I mean, like to actually have a full on bad blood here on Earth hunting with no rules, doesn't even care, would be interesting to see.
It would be.
So it's like there's a lot to play with there. I don't know necessarily if we needed to tie into Predator 2, just kind of let it be its own thing, but I don't really
Mhm.
think it's going to be a big deal either way. For me, it's not going to be like, oh, yeah, that's what I needed. Like, this is really going to set the movie off if we tie it into Predator 2. It doesn't really matter. So, I mean, it could. I don't think it's really going to do much for the film. I would just rather have it be its standalone completely. We don't need it to tie into anything and just let it be its own deal.
I think that's fair. I think like it would be an easy, like kind of fun nod they could do to Predator 2. I know like you said that you feel like it could take away from it, but I agree with you on one hand. I want it to be standalone, but at the same time, it's like I think that Predator 2 doesn't get nearly enough praise as it should. I think it's starting to come around, but yeah, I think just a little wink and a little nod would be nice. Granted, you're using a bunch of terminology that I know a lot of general movie goers they're not going to know what a bad blood predator is or anything like
Yeah.
that. But I agree with you. I'd love to see a predator that is no holds bar, just no rules, no anything. Just it's going in there and it's just going to eviscerate everything it can find.
Yep.
I think that that's something we haven't truly seen. And I mean, like there's something cool about predators and their codes and their culture. It definitely makes them feel more like an intelligent species as opposed to like alien, which is like very it's an intelligent creature, but it's very much a drone in a hive, and they
Yeah.
more establish that. I think, not to switch over to aliens completely here, but I think, without the movie Aliens, I think you could have gotten away with it because I think the alien in the first Alien movie is pretty intelligent. I think like that was the intent, that it was smart and everything, but then you get to Aliens and then they kind of make them more of a hive creature. With
Yeah,
Predator, you've never had that. Predators have always had their unique styles and personalities, in the good movies, I should say. So it's just like one of those things where it's like I'm interested to see what they bring to this one. And I think there's a lot of cool stuff. I want to go back a little bit here to the mention of the plasma cannon, because with that red thing sliding by and it not sounding like a plasma caster, it makes me think that when we see later in this trailer, we see like a spear go into the
tree.
into the tree. So it makes me think that that could possibly be what he's shooting out. I would love that. I think that that's a very that would be a good compromise there, to where you can see that the technology has evolved over time, because it's like if you're gonna bring the plasma caster into it, that's fine. But like we said, I want to see a lower form of it, like a newer, like a first gen plasma caster, if you're gonna do
Yeah,
it at all. And I'm very curious. You notice that this Predator, at least in some of the shots we saw, doesn't have a lot of armor. Does not have a lot of gear either. He's very bare bones,
yeah, and
and
that's
I
where
think
it's
that's
like,
neat.
I mean, I don't know how they're playing with this. Like you look at AVP, when they're in the cold, they tend to dress a little more to the weather. So I don't know if that's the point that they're trying to get across here or not. Like for me, again, I feel like if we're gonna tie it into Predator 2 in any sense, the Shaman Predator, I hate to keep going back to it because we did it in the last video, but
You're
again,
pulling
I
for that.
feel like that shaman predator fits so perfect for the time period that they're playing with, and there is no lore, at least as of right now, to that predator. It would have been great. Like that is one I would have been on board with. Just because I would have loved to have seen a makeshift mask or something that's not as full perfect like as I think we're. I mean, we've only seen glimpses, so I don't know. Maybe it's not as perfect, but uh I like his armor to be not as, you know, fine as it is in the 1986 version. Um, Something maybe a little more not, made by him almost, because there are predators that kind of do have that
Hmm.
different kind of helmets and stuff. So I'm curious to see what exactly he's going to be carrying with him. Just because it could be either the weather or it is actually because they haven't developed certain technologies on their planet yet, which will be interesting. It's like either way, I think that they've put thought into it. And I don't know exactly
Definitely.
where did they ever say where this is actually taking place? I know
I'm
they gave us
sure
the
they
date.
have. It slips my mind right now. I could see real quick, but continue with your thought.
um no, that was pretty much it. But like one of the things I did like about this trailer is uh, the predator taking out the bear, because we
Oh
don't
yeah.
really see you don't see that too much. We always come down to the human and the predator, nothing else, but they're always hunting game, just because it's a human. They're not always hunting humans. So it's like I like that they kind of went that route with it, where um she was trying to hunt the bear started hunting her. So obviously the bear is the alpha, so the predator takes out the bear, and and
Hmm.
that's its trophy as well. So it's like I like that they use that dynamic as well to kind of show that it's just not always predators versus humans. It's whatever the alpha is at that time and
Oh
whatever
yeah. No,
they
and
they find big game.
I think they've done that really well. Like especially like I'll give it to a couple of the Predator movies. I would say that they don't always see humans as a threat. I'm gonna go Predator 2 again. I don't know the actress's name. Please don't. But Vasquez, she's
Yeah,
in that. Yeah. So it's like when he sees that she's pregnant, he backs off because he's like, "Oh, this isn't fair. Like, this isn't a threat. You know what I mean?"
yeah,
And it's just like they really do like. That's why I think like these creatures are so wonderful. Like I just think that the Predator is just so much fun because there is so much more thought put into them than just a mindless killer or hunter. They
Yeah.
legitimately have a culture and a code, unless they're bad bloods. Like they will, follow that, and it's like they have rules and laws. They treat it like a really like a good hunter should. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, if you're talking about like how hunting should be in our world, it is, for the purpose of, feeding yourself, and you use every part of the animal, and you'd think that it's, something where, you know, this is everything is being used, nothing goes to waste. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like there's almost like a, I guess like a ritual type to that, and it's like just the fact that predators have that code, it just makes them endlessly more interesting to see on screen.
Yeah, and it was again, we seem to be harping a little bit on Predator too, but it is really like we'll probably have to do a full on either podcast or video on it, just because
We will.
that was really the significant film where the original was just the military out there and random monster from outer space decides to gut
It's
some
it
dudes.
sets the stage. It lets you
Yeah.
know the bare
Whereas
bones
like
basics.
Predator 2 really establishes that lore of an honor-based society because, at the end when Danny Glover's there and they're all there and they can just totally destroy him, they give him the gun. You know what I mean? Because he bested one of their crew. So it's
Mhm.
like that really does. I think that really set off the tone for a lot of the comics and the lore that we do see now and the kind of honor-based society that they do have. So I mean, you do have to give a lot of props because Predator 2 is very much based on the comics.
Mhm.
And they wanted to do that obviously once they couldn't get Arnold back, but um so Predator 2 does do a lot. It kind of brings that honor-based society on into the film world, and it's one of the things that really sets that Predator is a monster, a creature, whatever you want to call it, apart from everything else that we do see that is just a mindless, killing machine, where the Predators do have a code of honor, and it's like
Mhm.
that's probably what intrigues me so much about them is there's so much lore behind them that you could honestly dive down a rabbit hole and spend weeks there just figuring out different things.
Oh yeah. No, I mean like they have had the luxury to have this in the expanded universe, have so much of their like lore and things built out over like the many decades that we've had Predator. Two thoughts that I kind of want to leave us off on here. First one being with this movie, kind of like where it's set in its setting. Do you think that this is going to spawn? I think I might have brought this up in the last one. I don't particularly remember this, but where I'm going, I know I definitely didn't bring up. Um, is do you think that we're going to see more Predator movies that are time period pieces, where it's like we're going into something? And if that's the case, I'm throwing my hat in the ring for a Predator movie set in feudal Japan. I want to see that. I want to see them when like the Mongols are taking over and everything. I want a predator running around there because that's a very honor-based society. So you have these two societies that have very much the same ideology clashing. I want to see that.
Yeah. No, I think that would be intriguing to do because you can see how there's always this lore of who came first with predators. Did it spawn human beings? All these things. So it would be very interesting to see who adopts what, different things of their society. I do think that I think the intention here is to really uh, uh, pitching before Shane Black's. I think this probably would have been on the shelf a little bit, but I do think because of Shane Black's, this is going to streaming. To kind of get I brought it up in the last video, kind of get the confidence back of the viewer because we have been burned so many different times going out to see a Predator film. So I think that is completely the case. Is that we are gonna be getting more Predator films after after we get this one here in is it beginning August?
Yeah, August 5th.
August 5th. So and I think that's probably the biggest thing is um the time periods, which is probably honestly the biggest factor into this stuff to make them feel different because, like you were telling me, where the general audience probably doesn't know what a bad blood is. So you kind of really have to play with those time periods. So I think we will be getting different time periods, things like that, because it's probably going to be the most unique to each film. But like what you're saying with the whole feudal Japan and everything like that, I would love to see, like you're saying, it's a very honor based society. You have, you know, in these films, with the exception of AVP, and I guess the Predator or whatever, but that was kind of slightly different. um if you have a hunting party, like three of them, and like one of them's turning into a bad blood, so you have two that are like
Oh
totally
yeah.
about honor, and one's it's like, hey, screw this, I'm gonna just start destroying people. Because for me, I would love um a discussion amongst predators. We don't know what they're saying, but we can tell by their body language of what's going on. I think that would be very intriguing for the audience to watch.
It's the same thing that I want to see with when every time one of these legendary Godzilla movies comes out or Kong movies comes out, everybody always says, "Why don't we just get one where it's just the monsters?"
Hmm.
And it's like cuz everybody always has a problem with the human characters. Not to get on my soapbox, but having this collection here, if you can tell me, like, there's a handful of great characters in these movies, but characters in those movies, human characters, have never ever been the focus. They've never
Yeah.
been the shining star. But I'll hop off that now. We'll talk about that another time. But what I'm saying here is, like, yes, I agree with you. Give us predators with interplay. I think AVP really had the opportunity to do that, but they didn't. They kept them
Yeah.
stoic. They kept them in the background until it was time for, the two species to go head to head. It was nice to see the predator in that movie interacting with a human a little more closely and them working together. But I agree with you. I want to see how predators interact. I want to go back to the only good part in AVP Requiem. I think unanimously is when we see the predators' homeworld for a
Yeah.
brief couple of seconds. I want to spend time there. I want to see what this society is like. I want to see it on the big screen. I want to see how it all works because they have governments. I imagine they have all kinds of shit. I just want to see how that all works, and I
Yeah.
want to see how they deal with bad bloods. And I mean, I don't necessarily remember your thoughts and feelings on this one, but Predators, I actually don't think is that bad of a movie, other than the misleading marketing, which we got into last time.
Yeah.
I think that definitely does a good job of showing some more, I guess, rogue predators. You know what I mean? That are kind of doing their own thing. And they're
Yeah.
stringing up other predators. It's like they have all these different species, all these different creeds and things. Like it's like just open the world. Just let us see it. Start getting more people in this conversation. And then you can open the door to where you have just a normie who's like, oh, that's a bad blood predator. It's not just somebody who's into this shit. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you can do it. And I'm gonna say it. We do this all the time, and we love movies, guys. But maybe if we're getting an Alien series, maybe we get a Predator series. Somebody pick it up.
Yeah, and I don't even think, like, because the predator, once you have a predator suit, you have a predator suit. You know what I mean? So it's like
Mhm.
really not that crazily expensive, as opposed to a lot of other things that you can make.
Disney
But
can
I
foot
would
the
love to
bill.
see something like that. Like, the one thing like AVP, I know a lot of people crap on it, but it's like AVP at least established the idea of younger predators coming to Earth to kind of be blooded, to get their plasma cannons to, so they can kind of go through this ritual process. And then AVP Requiem, again, like, just by showing the homeworld of the predator, and then the one being like, I got to get out of my chair, got to go pick a helmet because I have a billion of them, because obviously I'm an established dude here, we're not playing games,
Yeah,
and now
Wolf.
I'm gonna go do the cleanup. You know what I mean? So it's like at
Mhm.
least those two films establish something of that lore, which I do give them credit for. But yeah, Predators, I think is I'm not a big Adrian Brody fan or a Topher Grace fan. I think that's probably where my disconnect comes with that film. I don't know if that was the best casting choice, but I like the idea of predators, and I love the expansion upon like Bad Bloods, and then you have the one that's tied up because it'd be like, "What- that doesn't make sense." But then it's like when you realize what's going on, it's like, well, that makes perfect sense. There's
Mm,
inner fighting in between tribal predators throughout decades upon decades. So it's like, yeah, they're no different, So it's like I love the addition to the lore there through on the film.
good old fashioned predator bigotry. Let's go. I love it.
There we go.
Um, they're just like us. We're just big pieces of shit. And they're always going for the thing that I know a lot of people have also brought up too is just like they're always going for it's kind of been established again from Predator 2 that they tend to try to lean into the fact that whenever the Earth is at its hottest points during the year is when predators tend to show up.
Yeah,
So it's just one of those things. And I think there was some dumbass plot line they tried to do with that in The Predator, wasn't it? Where they were saying, oh, global warming is causing
yeah,
the planet to overheat and they're just waiting to take over. It's just
yeah.
like, why
They
would
want
they
the
ever
planet.
want to take over our planet? Like it's just a game preserve for them.
Yeah,
That's
they
just
don't
what it
care.
is. But yeah, I think that's probably about where we got to end it for this. Obviously, we're excited for the film. We're looking forward to it. I think that this trailer definitely gives me a little bit more gas in the tank. I'm still gonna say it could suck. I've learned my lesson too many times. It could be pretty rough, but right now it seems like we're on the right path.
Yeah,
They have put a couple of my worries to bed in theory. So I'm excited. August 5th, when it comes around, I'll definitely be sitting down and watching it, and you will for sure be getting a video from us on it. Probably a nice, lengthy discussion, whether it's good or bad. Because I think, like, if it's great, then hey, we're gonna have some good Predator to talk about for once. If it's
yep.
bad, just another one to throw on the burn pile, and
It's
we'll
like
grieve and drink
I'll go
and
to
do
the
whatever.
theater and I can get kicked in the face by a predator, and then 2 years later I'll be back and I'll be ready again. So it's
Yep,
like,
it's
hey,
an
if it's
abusive
coming out,
relationship. I mean, like it is,
yep,
but I'm
I
always
can't help
there.
myself. Tell you,
I know. So goddamn that those two fucking movies from the '80s just they sold us, and now we're good. You know what I mean?
like, give us
Fuck,
anything. I don't give a
absolutely.
shit.
But yeah, any final thoughts on this trailer, there, Luke?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. As so far they're doing everything right. I'm a little upset that we kind of talked about this years ago, and now someone's kind of doing it the right way. And I didn't get a chance to do it, but what can you do? No,
You still have a chance. If anything, this opens the door because
that's
if
true.
this movie is a success and the period piece angle is there, then that just means that you need to pitch Hulu. You need to find an executive and you need to say, "Hey, here's my script."
I got me an idea.
And I'll come with you. And I'll
Oh
just
no,
say, hey,
obviously,
I
yeah.
support this man and his script.
I
So
write it, you direct it. Obviously, we figured it out.
I love it. I would be honored. But yeah, guys, that about wraps it up for us with the Prey leaked trailer. Definitely, when the trailer does fully release, go ahead and check it out. If you can find it online, feel free to check it out. Like I said, surprised that the quality was so good
Yep.
on this one. Usually, it's a really shitty low res. It's not the greatest. It's definitely like around that 720p mark, but like it's watchable at least, and you can still see everything. So when they do release it here, I imagine in the next few days, we'll get a nice crystal clear look at it. Maybe we'll throw a couple things up on Twitter if we notice anything more from it. But I think that about wraps us up here. So yeah, if you are interested in anything else from us, check us out on this channel here. You can also find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, and anywhere you can listen to your podcast, pretty much. And yeah, that about wraps it up here. Definitely, if you think we deserve it, hit subscribe. And oh, before I forget, gotta do this. I've been on such a good streak with this. Gotta pimp out the Twitter. Check
There
us
you
out
go.
at Splattercast Pod. You can always keep up with us. That's our main social media there. Luke normally runs a show on that bad boy, so you'll definitely get some stuff from him. But yeah, if you want to hear any updates from us, find out anything that's going on, any good conversation starters, it's all on Twitter there for us. So, well, that about wraps it up for me. So, just remember, we all go a little mad sometimes.